All right, everybody, welcome back to another Xvault gaming video. Xvault here, and today, as you can tell, I have a little bit of a different setup because some other changes are going on here, but you might see some other different changes in the background and stuff like that to kind of change that up as well. We'll see. This is kind of an odd spacing here where I have to have this desk set up now at the moment, so we'll see how that happens. But what I want to go over is my personable, which is basically my personal review. No written narrative, no scripted dialogue or anything like that. I want to go off the cuff. I want to go off of my fresh experience when it comes to my reviews. And this one in particular, going over the highly acclaimed, the much anticipated God of War Ragnarok. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump to it. All right, so we're back. What I want to go over is the God of War Ragnarok review. What I want to go over is my experiences, my emotions, my expectations, all of the stuff, as well as the game itself and how it handles technicalities, narrative, everything involved within a game, right? So starting off, this game, if you've played the first one, God of War 2018 as it is dubbed, this picks them up pretty much just a few years after the first game. So a lot of sequences did happen in the first game. Again, I'm going to make this spoiler free. So even for the first game, I'm not going to go over a lot story-wise for that in case you are late to the party for some reason or just now joining into the PlayStation ecosystem. But it does take place real quick after that. Like I said, just a couple years or so. Atreus is a little bit older. Kratos has come off the cusp of everything that's happened. We have, Freya, who is visibly upset for the appropriate reasons, still not coming to terms with what happened in the first one, and so on and so forth there. So again, I want to be a little light on that. But going off of this, when we're talking about story, which is something I want to go off of, because I think it is the most important aspect of this game in general. What's important for a game? In my opinion, the best is gameplay followed by story. But when we're talking about something that has such a strong narrative, like the God of War series, ever since the reboot especially, it's not just about killing gods and getting revenge and stuff like that. We are reintroduced to this character of Kratos, how he has shifted from his past to present and now being a father, carrying over from the last game, any repercussions that happen from there as well. You see this growth. Kratos still has not grown into full-on, dad mode yet. He still doesn't have the confidence that a dad would have after, everything that's happened with his past and his present. He's not sure what's going on. He's not sure if he's making the right decisions. He's just trying to be that almost overprotective father. And by all rights, he wants to do that in the right way. And I can't really blame him. No father would, for everything that he has gone through, right? So the story narrative just continually picks up. You see that growth through Kratos himself. It's amazing. It's truly amazing to see him grow. It's amazing to see Atreus grow as well, continuing to grow into his own person, and Kratos trying to come to terms with that and what kind of happens and how their paths, consistently, clearly intermingle and cross, and them having their own aspects and viewpoints on everything, as well as some other characters that you do continually meet. Sindri and Brock, returning from the first one as well. They add so much to it. Mimir also adds so much to it. Your headpiece there. Freya is amazing in it. Every aspect of every character in this game is amazing. You love and hate Heimdall, hot take. You love and hate this guy. Because he's so good at being a capital D bag that you're so good and you're acting so well. You're making me dislike you a lot, but your characterization is very well done. Thor is presented really well. Odin is presented really well. Supporting cast characters are presented very well on top of it. And, you can't say too much more. Just a round of applause for the entire cast and how they bring this narrative to life and how it comes together. But the narrative, the story is amazing. I think this is what stands out in the entire game. Again, I'm a big gameplay first and story second, followed by everything else under that ladder and umbrella. But really it just kind of comes down to encompassing yourself into that world and that story, and that's just what grasps you and gravitates you to want to play in this world. That's where the gameplay comes in. It makes you want to play this game, whether it had subpar combat, subpar gameplay mechanics or not. It does bring you into this regardless, but it doesn't have that. The gameplay is just about near perfect. I can't really say much more than that because it's everything that you had from the first game, just more finely tuned. You get more, obviously, optimization for your weapons and skill trees and armor and a little bit more RPG mechanics and ways to mix and match, but you do want to keep your gear sets pretty much similar. You can mix and match, like I said, but you're going to get the best buffs and stats by actually utilizing the armor set pieces as a whole and then kind of work with that. But you do have a lot of choices. So the gameplay is fluid, even more so. I felt it's just head and shoulders above the rest when it comes to this type of gameplay. And I felt nothing negative about that. Now, the only gripe I do have about the combat, which is something that I kind of scoffed at, like not a big deal, or maybe they'll improve upon it in this one. So the one gripe I do have with the combat is the camera itself regarding multiple enemies that you're fighting at once. There's too many options that you are going to get hit in the back and your blind side. Now, there is an indicator, yellow and red. You got like a little arrow behind you. And that does tell you, hey, an enemy's getting ready to attack you or is attacking you or whatever. However, it's just difficult when you have 2 or 3 people in front of you, or say a boss, you have a multiple boss encounter. You're going to get cheap shotted pretty often. There's no way around it. You can consistently roll, but depending on the boss moveset and stuff like that, if there's multiple, it makes it very difficult to kind of gauge. And that's not really a skill level or a skill issue, as they would say. That's more of a, we need to find a better way to kind of tweak that, and then we'd be at perfection. But that's just a minor gripe. A lot of folks have actually had that gripe. I can see that, especially in the play more and more as I play this. But I have finished the game, just an FYI. I just don't have the full plat. I'm very close. I plan to do so. So I definitely have the experience to talk about this review. I probably should have said that in the beginning, just to let you all know that, yes, I did finish this game and thought it was just an amazing story to boot. And I just love the ending. And again, I want to make it really spoiler free. So that's why I just don't want to go over too much on that. But again, just the combat's great. The puzzles, you know, there's a lot of puzzles, but they're not too bad, and they don't just make you sitting there forever like, how do I do this forever? And again, if something is truly puzzling you, that's why there's YouTube videos out there and walkthroughs to help you get past that puzzle if you need to. But they're really not too bad. There's only been a couple that I was like, I really don't know what to do, but the rest of them you can truly figure out if you just take a moment. So it's not too bad. The pacing is very well when it comes to combat and puzzle mechanics. A lot of folks out there, kind of the naysayers, are like, oh, it's too many puzzles. And it's like, have you played Phoenix Immortals Rising? Because you want to talk about puzzle heavy. I was so over that game when I finished it that the puzzles, I wanted to plat it because I was close, but there was a lot of grind and everything had to do with puzzles, every little thing I wanted to do. So I was just way over that. But so this is bar none, not a ton of puzzles. It's just part of the gameplay experience and trying to make things happen, and everything's integrated. The side missions are also integrated into the story as well. Definitely make sure you do those because they are very rewarding for gear, item stats, stuff like that, as well as aiding into making that main story and those character pieces that much more vibrant and important. So it is really on par with like the Witcher 3 type of side quests. So that's also held in high regards, right? So just kind of keep that in mind. And then, you know, in regards to that, we're talking about replayability. You certainly can. There is currently no new game plus or anything. There is, plenty of in-game content. There's epilogues. There's just a lot of side content that maybe you just decided to skip and get to the meat of the story because the story is that good. I can't say that enough, but there's just a lot of content and open areas, and they're vastly large for the most part and just really interesting. I don't really have a level in this one that I didn't care for. Hell, you're barely there. HEL. So it's not too bad because that was one of my least favorite in the first God of War games. So there is that. So, but it's really every level I honestly didn't mind. I thought was unique, fresh, and I enjoyed taking my time in those realms. So on top of that, the traversal system is better than the last one by a mile. However, it's not perfect still. I still would like to fast travel anywhere I'm at and get to certain parts of the maps, rather than backtracking, getting through doors, and so on and so forth. So still, it came a long ways, but just falling short there a little bit. I would like to see some more tweaking there and have more fast travel accessibility so I don't have to sit there and roam my boat from one end to the other of a map or get lost in the mines or something like that and try to find my way back. That'd just be a little bit more user-friendly, I guess I'd say. And then the last negative thing I have to say, and these are very minor, but they're just the last one, which would be my third piece, is the map itself. It's slightly different and a little bit better than the first installment from 2018, but still leaves much to be desired. No custom waypoints. You can set your waypoint on actual markers, but you can't make custom waypoints if you want to head and explore somewhere and make sure you're in the right trajectory rather than pulling up your map 24/7, making sure you're around that area. So I would like to see some changes in that for a third installment if that's what they choose to do so, or if there's some DLC, hopefully they can integrate that or make some changes in effect to kind of help that at the very least, but we'll see what happens there. But, on top of that, I just really have to say that this game was truly amazing. Let's get down to the score here, what I'm going to score it. I have to leave this pretty light on details with a lot of the game because a lot of the folks went out and beat this, including myself, pretty quickly within the release because we put a lot of hours into it. That doesn't mean each and every individual out there has gotten their hands on it or has finished it at this point. So I just like to leave those thoughts and opinions out there. But as much as I was thinking about it, and I wanted to soak it all in from this weekend because I finished it late Saturday night. And, I had to really reflect on it, think about it, stuff like that. But in my mind, I wanted to drop it down. My ranking is from 1 to 10, right? And then I do give the half point. So if it's a 5.5 or a 6.5 or a 7.5, I do that. I'm not going to do like 7.8s or anything like that. But I was really thinking about dropping this to a 9.5 because of the three complaints I had. The map not being all that great. The camera itself not really allowing you to dodge those cheap shots and utilize your skills and dodge rolling and so on and so forth. And number 3, fast travel traversal. I think that could be improved upon as well. But they are 3 minor gripes for something that is so fantastic of a game. Those are the 3 negatives I can come up with after almost 40 hours of the game. I think that speaks volumes. It's not immersive breaking. It's not game breaking or anything like that. I had no bugs, no issues there, no crashes, no anything like that. So I had to really think about it. And I'm like, am I going to drop this to 9.5? Am I really going to do that? No. My final review is going to be a 10 out of 10. This game deserves it. This is what you call a masterpiece. This is what you call an experience. And this is what you call a first-party AAA Sony PlayStation experience and game. You can't get this anywhere else. This is day one. Maybe a year from now, it does get ported to PC. I don't know yet. That tends to be the case. But if you want to wait for these for a year, okay. But these are the types of games that people go out and buy a system for. This is a system seller. The sales have been phenomenal since it's been released. And overtook even Pokemon Scarlet and Violet in its first week. That's rarely done. Overtook FIFA 23. As of this week, that did slip a little bit because those games have more longevity when it comes to the fan base and such like that. And it's so world-renowned, right? As opposed to God of War. Even though God of War is very famous, it's just the way it is. But without further ado, I just kind of want to wrap that all up. Give those thoughts and opinions. But, like I said, it definitely deserves this review. Definitely don't miss this type of game. Get your hands on it as soon as possible. If you haven't played the first one, do that first, the 2018 version. If you just got a PlayStation 5, this is part of the PlayStation Essential Game Pack that you do get for free as part of like a 20+ game lineup pack. So definitely play that first if you have not yet. Highly recommend it. Don't skip out on this game. Get yourself a PlayStation 5 or 4 at this point. I'd recommend a 5 if you can get your hands on it. It's becoming more readily available. Pick this game up. You will not be sorry. This is going to end up being one of your favorite games of all time. I know it's one of mine, and I can't wait for the rest of you out there to try it. But we'll wrap it up. Like I said, let me know down in the comments below what you would review God of War. What score would you give it? Do you agree with my score? Do you have a different score? Do you have any gripes or complaints, or do you think this is pretty much flawless as well? I would love to hear from you. And as always, I appreciate everybody's support. 334 subscribers out of 500. I know we can get to that next goal, and we are just trucking along, so thanks again. If you haven't already, leave a like as well. And if you haven't already and you would love to do so, please consider subscribing to help out a small content creator like myself. So without further ado, I hope you enjoyed this review as a personable review from yours truly here on Xvault Gaming, and we'll see you all next time on the next Xvault Gaming video. And until then, take care.